Your voice, your opinion, your community. Fact TV, free speech, protected.
Morning, Bellows Falls, and welcome to the feed. Here we are with Mike and Marty, and we have Hailee and Meghan with us today. We're doing something a little bit different this morning. There was a fire in Bellows Falls this morning on Laurel Avenue, and it just happened that I was driving in to do the feed, and so I stopped by and took some footage. And we're going to go to a little clip right now that Alex put together. Keep going. We're not going to the clip. This is live TV, and things often go wrong, and so maybe he'll tell me when the clip will come up later. Sorry about that. So let's go to local events.
Local events. So this week, remember last week we were saying that there wasn't enough local events, and I was having a hard time, so we're back to lots of local events. Village Square Booksellers on Friday, January 31st, that's this Friday. They're having an author night. Alex Cormack, Road of Bones illustrator. I'm not sure what Road of Bones is, but anyway, Pat's authors events are always fun. They're always well attended. It's always interesting to just, if you're interested in the book or even just listening to authors and their process, it's always interesting to go. It's very low key. Oftentimes the author will read a section of their book, which is kind of interesting. They'll take questions from the audience. So that's this Friday, the 31st at 7 p.m. And we want to remind people, Vanessa was here a couple weekends ago, but coming up on February 8th, which is just a couple weeks away, the Nature Museum is hosting an evening with Bill McKibben. It's at the Grafton Community Church. It's at 7 p.m. and the tickets are a sliding scale. They're between $15 and $25. And then, everyone, mark your calendar. Get ready to buy your tickets for Cabaret.
I've already bought my tickets.
You did already buy your tickets?
Yes,
Good for you. I see they're using the town hall for their costumes again.
Yeah,
Which is cool.
yeah.
Which is cool. So
And they're
March-
building the scenery.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw, Sue took some pictures last weekend of the scenery and the rehearsal. And
I saw them come up on Facebook.
Yeah.
They're well into it. March 13th, 14th, and 15th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. Those are all evenings, 7:30 p.m. And then March 14th and the 21st, which I'm assuming are both Saturdays. Those are 2 p.m. matinees. Everything's at the Opera House. Tickets are on sale, www.mainstreetarts.org, or you can call 869-2960. And then tickets are also available at the bookstore.
Wow.
That's cool.
Good. Okay, wait a second. Now, I'm getting a thumbs up from the control booth. I should have like a little earpiece.
You should
that
have
I
an earpiece. You should have
and
something
Alex
so
is
like
telling me
that.
right now that we can go to clip. So here we go.
Apparently they had to jump out the windows out the back, and the whole front of the building's burnt. You can see inside the front doors and stuff. It's all burnt up the stairs and stuff. And I think they actually threw out a couch that caught on fire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they set it out and apparently threw it through the window too.
The neighbors are all going to wake up and say, well, they knocked that down quick. Who did that?
Okay. You can see by the clip that it actually melted the siding on the house across the street. I talked with some of the firemen. They said it was really going, and they had to do a lot of work. Gaetano was there. He said he had some good footage from his helmet cam. So we'll see if we can't get something a little more information on it. But right now, we don't know. We don't think anyone was hurt, and but we don't know. And the Walpole Fire Department and Bellows Falls was there. I'm not sure if other departments
Probably
responded.
covering,
They were.
yeah.
I was sort of I got there sort of when everything was over and when they were cleaning up, and so some of there were some fire trucks pulling out when I left. So it could have been other departments there also, but a really good response. They put everything out really fast, and I think it was.
But also kudos because those houses are so close together to
Yeah.
keep it contained to the one house.
It was just.
That is no easy feat.
I mean, they are like.
Yeah.
Feet apart.
They are
They're
feet apart.
really,
That's
it's
the
just
like the tightest neighborhood.
It's like one car.
You can reach out your
maybe
window to your neighbor's house, you
Exactly.
know.
So good job, firemen, and good job, fire department, and thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Going out and fighting the fire.
Yeah. Wow. Just amazing. Anyway, on to a lighter subject. I think. We want to talk about. We have Hailee and Meghan here today, and we're going to talk about first of all what you guys do, and then. With this new project that's coming on, this Let's Take Action Rockingham, we wanted to see where you guys, what you see as far as this youth center project going ahead. So first, start with introducing yourselves and who you are and what you do.
Sure. So my name's Hailee, and I was on, I don't know how long ago it was.
It was a long time ago.
It wasn't long. You were like this big. It was like you've grown.
I was just reminiscing about it this morning and thinking, how similar, and that we were really excited about a new project, and then what ended up happening, thanks to you, Mike, and Gross, and now thanks to Marty, we have a free space for Friends for Change, right down the hall from Fact TV. And so I was just thinking of that and like all the ways that we've kind of evolved since then. But basically, Friends for Change was born out of the closure of the Boys and Girls Club. That was in 2016, the summer of 2016, I believe. And I was working there at the time, and we got defunded, and I just decided, how hard could it be to do something on our own? It's such a need in the community.
Key term, how hard could it be?
Yeah, exactly. Little did I know.
How hard could it be?
Yeah. So, since then we have merged with Youth Services, and so we're a program of Youth Services under the Workforce Development Department.
Which doesn't make that much sense.
Yeah, but
That's where we are.
You have to fit in somewhere. And, I mean, it's
Yeah.
more about creating slots that people can fit into. It's sort of like take the opportunity and run with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like in some ways we do. I mean, we're really providing a safe space for kids, and in my mind, for them to dream, and then trying our best to connect them to any resources to help those dreams come true. And for most of our kids who are, juniors and on, getting a job is their dream. So
Yeah.
I feel like we do kind of fit into work.
Yeah,
do.
that's
You
but
do.
maybe
That's
not
true.
for the middle schoolers that we're working with.
Uh-huh.
They're not
Yeah,
dreaming
yeah.
of their.
They're building soft skills.
Yes.
Well, that's
exactly.
true. That's true.
So then, what year would it have been that we merged with Youth Services? That was.
Well,
Seven?
to be technically a program.
2018 or 19?
Yeah, well, we
Must have been
started, they
18.
were our fiscal agent for a while, and then we decided to strengthen our relationship. And when that happened, Meghan was running a program, which you can talk about, RAMP, and we decided that they were very similar, and so we basically merged programs, which means that now we have 2 paid staff, Meghan and I,
Oh, great.
and
Good,
all of the
good.
backing of Youth Services.
Yeah, because before that, everything was volunteer. It was volunteer, and you guys did an amazing job being a volunteer organization, and now it's nice that it's sort of getting the support it deserves, really.
Oh yeah, and I feel like way less stress on myself. I
can
was a
imagine.
full-time student. I had 2 jobs and trying to
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
And now I was driving the other day in the Youth Services van, like I get paid to do something I love, and how incredible that is.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's my spiel. And Meghan came on, which we're so grateful for. I don't know if you want to talk about the RAMP program.
Oh, RAMP stands for Ready to Achieve Mentoring Program. It was a grant that I was working under. And I used to have a group that was in the Bellows Falls High School during Terrier time. And that was very career focused. And then I sort of brought my kids over to FFC. And we did a little bit of like a soft merge for a while in like 2018.
So did you, were you developing mentors for people so that you could pair people up? And
Yeah, we also went to like a lot of local businesses in the area, and we would have like site visits where we'd go on like mini field
Yeah, I
trips.
think you came
and
here.
We came here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a couple other areas in town, and talk about like what people do and why they do
Yeah,
it. And
yeah. So sort of a orientation, education for career.
Yeah, and it was all youth driven, so they would tell me what kind of things they were interested
Yeah,
in, and then I
yeah.
would find somebody in the like local area that did something similar.
Yeah. What did
Um,
people want to be most of all?
I had a lot of bakers.
Really?
I had a lot of bakers, which
No
was
firemen or astronauts? Or
not so much. I had
Oh.
a couple that wanted to be police officers.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Interesting. No, it's just out of curiosity
Yeah.
how what people want to be as
I
time
had a lot
goes
of
on,
artistic
changes.
kids.
Yeah,
and I think the
yeah.
baking kind of went along with that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, bakers, we need bakers.
Now, how many kids do you serve now? You've expanded quite a bit from, you had kind of a core group, kind of a small core group, and now it seems like you've expanded your,
Yeah, well, I think to begin with, we have maybe 5 or 6 core kids,
Mm.
and now I'd say, I mean, we merged with Ramp, so we got a couple more there, but now we have a solid 20 who come weekly,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd say we have 30 total. You know, some kids are coming monthly or on a basis like that.
Yeah.
Which I should say, we've never done any advertising. We never have gone out in the community and said,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
need more kids.
It's just word of mouth.
Oh yeah, it's just
and
if you build
yeah.
it, they will come, because
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
what we provide is it's kind of a niche.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And our kids are the ones who sometimes fall through the cracks or maybe getting kicked out of other places. And our philosophy is, if you want to be here and you can agree to our agreements, then we'll make it work.
Yeah.
Whatever we can do.
Yeah, and I think that the youth like identify their friends that would like
Right,
they're
right.
pulling them in, and
Yeah.
we're not asking for it, but they can see their friends that are sort of similar to them and would like the space and bring
Yeah.
them along.
And I have to say that, like you said, we met and then we talked about things, and then the program came over here, and some of the kids got involved in different projects, and I've really seen, especially a couple of the kids that were there in the very beginning, have really grown and grown to a point where they're really doing neat stuff in the community, and like one that I particularly follow, he did a couple projects here. He ended up winning an award from the governor, and now he's working and doing all sorts of neat stuff, and it's really neat.
Yeah, we have 2 kids who've gone off to college.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
That's I wanted to mention that too, but yeah, it's great. Good job.
and what's the age range of the kids?
Well, so the Boys and Girls Club served 8 and up. And so originally that's kind of where the niche that we wanted to continue to serve. But I'd say we have mostly middle school and high school aged. And we have some maybe sometimes younger kids, but that's a sibling, you know,
Yeah,
middle schooler who,
yeah.
can I bring my little brother or whatever that
Sure,
looks
yeah,
like.
yeah.
We also have some like newly graduated adults, so like 18, 19-year-olds
Right.
that just haven't quite figured out.
But that's
what
actually a
happening
nice.
yet.
You don't. I wouldn't. I would just think that would be better. The wider the range, sort of the better, because it helps the young kids move along, and it helps the older kids be mentors and care for the young kids. And I think that's a really healthy.
Yeah, that's actually
relationship.
a project that we're working on right now, is developing what we're calling the trainer of the trainers.
Yeah,
But we essentially a leadership training for our older youth, so that they can, you know, just become like really intimately familiar with the mission and vision of Friends for Change, and then be teaching the younger kids that. So that, and then hopefully it'll become a system, and so when we get new kids in, we can be integrating them, and the older kids are learning, you know, leadership skills that'll carry them forward, and
Sure.
whatever
Yeah.
else they want
Because
to do.
they can learn empathy and leadership and all those things that really matter. You know.
Oh yeah, and I think the older kids who haven't launched yet really are mentors within the program, who you know, look out for the younger kids and you know, set good examples and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about because you have kind of a unique, you said in your mission statement, and you have kind of a unique approach. So tell us a little bit about how you run it, and what is different from like a traditional program. I think the way that you guys drive the train.
So we're trauma-informed, play-based, and democratically operated, which is a mouthful.
That's what I say every time.
It's like our buzzwords. But basically it means that, you know, we're meeting kids where they're at developmentally. And we believe in voice and choice. And so we're youth-led and adult-guided. which means that, you know, the kids' interests really drive whatever projects we do. And we're there, we use kind of a scaffolding model, so that, you know, we're catching them if they fall, but still allowing them to make decisions and make mistakes and then learn from them.
Okay.
If that makes sense?
Yes, it does. It's a good analogy, the
Yeah.
scaffold, yes.
Maybe, I don't know if you want to add anything else to the elevator speech.
I don't think so. I think you summed it up the most concise way that we can explain it.
Yeah, and I think it was funny. We were on the Seaside Radio on Wool.
Yeah.
Was that on Monday night?
Yep.
And so we're trauma informed, and the question they asked us, well, is it a requirement that the kids have trauma to come to the group? We were like, no, we don't have some sort of like trauma. Like,
Yeah, like
checklist.
Trauma 101.
Yeah.
If you don't meet this level, we have to traumatize you.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
I think those are the kids that are drawn to the kind of programming that we have, though. Like the sort of the model that we have. Like, I think, yeah. But you don't have to have trauma. You can come without trauma. I just think that.
And most
it might
people
not
have
make sense to
experienced some sort of trauma
Yes,
anyway. It's not an
exactly.
unusual.
No.
I mean, it's probably unusual that people have not experienced trauma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that you guys, kind of what I'm hearing, summing it up, is you guys take kids that maybe don't get a lot of guidance at home, that maybe don't see that there's another path they could take, and I think you help them explore that there's other paths. There's more out there than what they're experiencing at home, and they can, and you know, they're young enough. They still have time. They can create their own lives. They don't have to follow in a path that maybe isn't the best path. And I'd give them some hope.
A lot of our families are like coming from a place of generational trauma and generational poverty. And so I think about it more of like breaking a cycle.
Yeah.
That is nobody's fault that they're trapped in.
Right.
And like we have some really incredible families that are like super involved and like amazing. And so it's sort of trying not just with the youth, but with the family and the community, like reframing for the community who our youth are and who those families are, and reframing for themselves.
And I think it was on the radio we were talking about how we feel like in the past communities used to be that it was kind of like a village raising a kid, and I think this is happening all over our countries, that it's less so that it's more, you know, you're in your own home, and and I feel like we really want to break that cycle and be like and have the community be a safety net. You know, one of our kids, we were doing quotes for a grant that we applied for, and I asked one of our younger middle school girls, and I said, you know, what is it about FFC that's important to you? And she said, well, since I go to FFC, when I walk around town, I know people now. And those people, I know they're safe, and they keep me safe. And so like just this idea that we're connecting them with positive adults so that when you are walking around town, not only do you feel safe and at home, but you're being held accountable too.
That's truly how it used to be. That used to be
Well,
the
that's
model.
what, I mean, a lot, you talk with so many people, and that's exactly what they say.
If you grew up here, you did walk down the street and you knew everybody, and you knew if you got in trouble that so-and-so's mother's cousins saw you and they were going to report back to your parents.
But I
and
think
you
there was
were
a
in trouble.
generational break there.
Yeah, there was. I
And
think it's
then
important that
it's
you're
important to
bringing
get that
that
back.
I think it's part of why we prioritize going to community events and helping to volunteer and put on community events, because that's where those connections are built. I mean, we can invite as many people as possible into our space, but it's chaotic and there's a lot of playing, and sometimes that's not the best way. But if we go into the community and we become part of where the community is happening.
And we saw that with this, getting back to the planning and this Let's Take Action Rockingham, is that I think the youth, you guys had a meeting with the group that they were able to speak and express what their desires were, and then when we went to the voting meeting, this last voting meeting, they were really well spoken and they had good opinions, and they were, you know, upfront and, you know, and just willing to talk and willing to say things, and they said things very well, and I thought they almost led the discussion in a lot of ways, and it shows with the results. Yeah.
Totally. And I think that's really our whole kind of mission with wanting to get engaged in that, is because we are democratically operated. I see what we're doing is trying to lay the foundations for a democratic society, right? If we want people to be engaged, and that's how we see change in our community is by showing up, then we got to teach kids how to do that.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree, totally.
And I think they practice that in a meeting and all the things that we do in our little kind of microcosm, and then we take those skills and try to apply them to the community. I was so proud of all of them.
You should
They
be.
did a great job. I was at, they were at, I think, at least 2 of the original forums that I went to. There were kids there, and they were more willing to get up and speak than some of the adults, and well spoken.
Yeah, and it's not easy to do.
No, I had one middle schooler. I was sitting, should I do it? I don't know if I should do it. Can I do it? I don't know. And I was like, just say whatever you want. It's fine. And they did it. So.
Yeah. And then they get reinforced because it was really a positive outcome, I think, for them and for all of us.
And I think it's so important for them to be able to see that if you show up and you make your voice heard, that like change happens.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
this is like a really
yeah.
beautiful, concrete example of somebody's voices being heard. And
One
We
of the
should teach that to a lot of people. Maybe you could move this up and teach this concept to like adults.
Friends for Change at all the ages.
Yes.
All ages.
that's the real big dream.
So one of the projects that came up is a youth center. And what do you envision, or how, not that it would be you leading the process, but obviously you have some thoughts about it, and you would help and contribute ideas, and the kids would help and contribute ideas, or youth. I don't know if they call kids. Anyway, go on.
They call themselves kids.
Yeah, do they? Okay.
Yeah, so I think either one is
That's
fine.
all right.
I mean, I think we've been dreaming of this for a long time, and our initial kind of Friends for Change community meetings, that was the goal, was to fundraise and get a building and fix it up, and then of course we had the incredible opportunity to be in the grass space, which allowed for us to solidify with youth services and a lot of other pieces that we needed really before that could happen.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's been a long time coming almost, and I feel like so grateful that we got chosen for the Council on Rural Development, and that this idea like rose to the top. And so I feel like we have lots of different dreams. We call them our rainbow unicorn dreams.
Yeah.
And so if we could like wave a magic wand, I think we would love to not build something new, but to fix up something.
That was one of my questions, because that would actually dovetail with one of the other projects.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't need more buildings. There are plenty of buildings here that just need a little love. So why not repurpose that?
And then I see real opportunity in fixing up a building. You know, as we said before, a lot of our kids, especially the older kids, their dream is to, you know, have a career, have a job, and they want that for their parents as well. And having a building that we could fix up, I see as like an opportunity rather than a challenge, because how incredible would it be, just imagine to connect professionals in the field, like a plumber, for example, to a young person who is interested in a field similar to that, and then they could work together to, you know, fix the sink in the center. And so then not only are we matching a positive adult to that child's life now, but then they're building concrete skills that are applicable to, you know, a future career. They get to test out if they're interested in that career. And at the end of it, they've completed a project that they can feel proud about.
Right.
And they have concrete skills that they can apply in their own home. Next
Right.
time your
Next
sink
time
breaks
your
at your
sink
house.
breaks, you can go.
You can go and fix it. Or your neighbor's house or
whatever.
whatever. And so I really see the fixing up a building as a big piece of it.
Yeah.
But I think overall, really just continuing our vision and mission with Friends for Change, and how we want to show up in this space, and how we want it to be welcoming to all. And I see that as like partnering with Turning Point or other recovery services too, the Restorative Justice Center, you know, obviously Greater Falls Connections, and so that we can really create a space where, you know, kids and their families feel welcome and feel like they have ownership over it and can show up and, you know, access services if they want, or just be in the space and feel good.
Yeah. So do you see it as being, like I've heard maybe pie in the sky ideas of, oh, we would have a pool and we'd have this, that, and the other thing. Do you see it as that sort of facility, or more, or something more modest, or what?
I think we definitely have youth that want an indoor pool, but I think that might be dreaming really big and might be way down the line. And we currently have the rec center has a pool. It's not indoor, but there's a pool in town.
That's true.
And so I think starting off at least, it would be more modest. It would
Uh-huh.
just be the building, and
Yeah,
then we could
yeah.
grow from there. And one of the other things that sort of rose to the top of the community visit process was sort of like building like a more resilient and sustainable future.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so I see all of the different things that sort of came out of that process of really being able to work together, because I think we could also integrate some of that into the building or creating of the new space.
Yeah,
I think it's also was brought up like a multi-generational space.
Yeah.
And some of the other things that didn't rise to the top, some of the things that got, was like mentoring programs and like, basically like a community college, but not an official community college, but more where people that had a skill set came in and mentored. So do you see that as part of an important part of to make it sustainable, I think, too, is having all aspects of the community.
Yeah, I think I don't, correct me if you disagree, but I think in an ideal world, we would engage mentors. I think that's sort of what Hailee was talking about with having like pairing skilled people with youth. And also having it be a space that other types of intergenerational programs can be a part of, but having it be a youth-led space and that like having them have ownership over it. So inviting other parts of the community in, but they have to sort of follow the agreements that have been laid out by the youth. I think is sort of.
Yeah, and I love that idea of this kind of cross-generational and mentorship and kind of like, what was our buzzword we came up with?
Interest-based career readiness.
Yeah.
Interest-based career readiness.
You guys have a lot of mouthfuls.
Yeah. We are out of time though. But I want to have you guys say, how can volunteer, if anyone was interested in one coming for Friends for Change and in the program or volunteering at the program, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, I think the best way would be to reach out via phone. I mean, we could do email as well, or to come visit us. We're at Parks Place on Thursdays.
Okay, but give us your phone number.
Oh, yes, 802-869-9663.
Okay. I think that's all the time we have for today.
It is, but we will have to follow through because
But yeah,
we're
you
gonna
guys
keep
are going to have to come back.
highlighting this
Yeah.
process to
It'll be
keep the
great.
energy out.
You guys
that
really
can
have a
take-
lot of
so.
good stuff and good information, and people need to hear
Come
it.
on the 13th, too.
Come on the 13th.
Exactly.
All
6:30
right.
at the middle school.
That's it, Bellows Falls. We'll see you
Bye.
next week.